this is a special away fans at Celtic Park edition. I'm sure we've all heard about away fans moaning about Celtic Park, be it the price, the pies, the polis, or even the pesky colour. So I reached out to a lot of my usual guests, a couple of new ones, and I'm happy to say that at least some of them come back and help me out. So I really hope you enjoy this wee effort. I don't suppose there's too much to take serious, because the chances of football clubs listening to us fans is unlikely. But I'm sure there'll be enough there for you to engage with, to appreciate from an away fan perspective. So hopefully you enjoy. Here we go. So you've just said that you've not been a wee while, so the tickets have went up again since you've been, but it seems to be a massive bone of contention because we seem to be the dearest away game in the league. So just your opinion on that.
It is the most expensive, and it's one of the things that puts you off, I think. Like, especially when the problem for me is, right, you go to support your team, but it's much easier to be paying the money when you're not thinking, I'm going to pay 35 quid, I think it is now, and then I'm going to go and we're most likely going to get beat 5-0. And I guess the issue is, like, and we'll probably got onto this, like, for Celtic fans, Celtic Park's probably one of the best grounds in Scotland, and it'll feel like one of the best grounds in Scotland. For an away fan, it doesn't, because the away section...
This is exactly what I'm looking for.
The away section isn't a good place to watch football from. I mean, I don't know if any Celtic fans were maybe in there last season when they were, when obviously they shut it for a week, like they'd done the red zones and all, whatever they were called.
Yeah, that bumfly.
I've been in the other bits of Celtic Park at times, and it is a great place to be. I've never been. I keep meaning to try and get to a European game, but I've not been. But even I've been to Scotland games there, and I've been to a couple of Celtic home games there with friends that I grew up with that are Celtic fans, and it's a good place to be if you're in the home end, but when you're kind of stuck up in that away end, to be paying £35 for that experience. And I don't subscribe to the idea that, you know, you should pay a premium for who your team is, but Celtic fans to some extent are being forced to pay 35 quid because they're going to watch Celtic, and there's loads of demand to go and watch Celtic. I'm not going to watch Celtic. If I can pay a 10 or less the next week to go to Perth or something, if I've got to pick and choose, it's the one I'm going to pick and choose last, because I've said I've got a wee one now, and I can't go to every away game. So if I'm picking an away game to go to, it's near the bottom, even though it's the just about the closest. Well, here in Ibrox, it's the two closest, and you have to make that judgment, and it's often the reason I don't end up going.
Yeah. Well, that's 100%. I mean, we'll come on to the question, right? What is your opinion on the price of a ticket for Celtic Park? And how hard or easy is it to get a ticket?
So in the tickets aren't that much different from, you know, I don't notice a huge difference going to Celtic Park or to Ibrox or coming. It's a little bit dearer, but it's not out with the realms of how much football costs. I guess it's an interesting thing that actually getting tickets for Hearts against Celtic or Rangers is actually reasonably easy.
Right, okay.
Because lots of Hearts fans don't come through now to Glasgow. So although I can probably get tickets for some of these games easier than I can get tickets for Tynecastle now.
Jeez, biggest one really. So let's talk about the cost of a ticket at Celtic Park. Is it something that straight away is a gripe with you? Do you think? I mean, I would presume you would say it's too much, but
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, to put it in perspective, so Livy charged £25 as the walk up, and we get criticised for that being too high. And I think we've only been to Ibrox this season, but I've already got my ticket for the game in December at Celtic Park. Obviously, the game got rearranged, but £32 is it's ridiculous, to be honest, to expect football fans to pay that. And again, to kind of put it in perspective, I'm renewing my Scotland Supporters Club membership, and it's working out at £25 a game. Renewing my membership, and that's international football. You know, I'm watching, Spain, who obviously just absolutely out of Costa Rica in their opening game, which has given me hope for the qualifiers. But you know, you've got them coming to Hampden with some absolute world-class players, and yeah, it's overpriced. But I would say that across the board with Scottish football in general. I think Hearts are about 30 quid. Aberdeen are kind of closing in on 30 quid as well when you go up to Pittodrie, and I fucking despise Pittodrie. It's shite. That's utterly shite. But it's far too much, and I think it's something that needs to be done across the board. With the clubs in Scotland, they need to kind of. I've noticed that down in the Championship, they kind of have a cap on away prices, and I never knew that. I think there's some clubs that kind of do deals with other clubs in terms of offering a discounted price for away fans, but I think they do have a cap where it's about, because it was I did a Birmingham City podcast in the summer. Sounds a bit random. Yeah, it sounds a bit random, but Odin Bailey was on loan from us from Birmingham, so I was chatting to the boy and kind of have him on Twitter, and when I told him that I'd just paid £32 to go to Ibrox on Twitter, and he was complaining about paying, I think it was £30 to go to Loftus Road. And he was like, "You're joking." He's like, he couldn't believe it when I told him it was £32 for a game up here. And I think that kind of puts it in perspective a little bit as well.
Of entry into Celtic Park.
Yeah, it's too dear.
As I know a bit of a shambles. You tell me. Yeah,
it's too dear. And I've got my own thoughts on why it's that price. For United fans, certainly a couple of weeks ago when we almost scraped a point, but didn't quite get there. It was 35 quid for an adult and 22 quid for a kid under 16, I believe it is. Now, I'm fortunate and I'm unfortunate. My young lad is disabled, so when we go to the games, we get the carer and the ambulant ticket, which is essentially you pay for his ticket and the carer, in this case me, goes free. So to get into the ground, to get into the game, I was only £22 for me and my young lad. If I'm having to pay 35 and 22, then I'm not going. I can't afford that. It's too dear. I think they're pricing people out. One of the things about the tickets for the last Celtic game, I always get the carer and the ambulant ticket for every team does it. Obviously Celtic do it as well. But for some reason, Celtic put a limit on it. So when I went to get my tickets for the match to the United shop, I was told that they were sold out. Much to my amazement, I says, "We've sold out the away end for the Celtic game," because we hadn't been playing very well. So I was very surprised. And I was told, "No, we've not sold out the away end. We've sold out our carer and ambulant tickets." Now, that was the first time that I'd ever heard that there was like a limit on these things. And apparently, it was the first time that the ticket staff in the United office had heard that there was a limit on it. So I think they had gave us 6 pairs of these tickets.
Really?
And what happened was I basically, the woman in the United shop that deals with all the disability issues and the supporters and that, she started taking a list of the people that were coming in and saying, "Can I get these tickets?" "Oh no, they're sold out." And it must have took about a week, and we went back to Celtic, and it was fine. There wasn't an issue. So I don't know why there was an issue in the first place. I don't know why they capped it. I don't know why they capped it at 6. But I guess in the fullness of time, we all got the tickets that we wanted. It was just strange that they did it that way. But the cost alone, I think 35 quid's too much, personally.
100%. And 22 banger for somebody under 16s. I don't know. That's even worse, isn't it? That's scandalous.
Well, the thing is, Scott, you'll know. If my young lad isn't disabled, I'm going to the game, and okay, I'm 35 quid. It's incredibly steep, and if I can afford it, I probably go. The young lad, he's 22 quid, but he's only 13 years old. So in most situations, the guy that's saying to pay the 35 quid is also the same guy that's saying to pay the 22.
Aye. The wee man's no picking out his fucking pay.
No chance.
The price must kill you.
It's ridiculous. I mean, if I talk about it in general, price of football in Scotland is ridiculous, right? And if I'm trying to look at it a bit more sensible rather than just digging Celtic, right? Because let's be honest with you, everyone right across the board, we are massively overpriced. Yeah. I always said years ago, when you started getting up and no getting change at 20 quid, that's when it started to turn for me. Going, you know, there's no value in this at all. But you're now going, you're not really getting change of 30 quid places as well. So, you know, you're going, so, but you guys, even from Celtic, you get charged an extra like £5 a head or something like that when you come and visit Motherwell and the Livingston and the rest of it, then they charge the likes of your Kelly's and your St Johnston. So there's a degree of sympathy I've got for the genuine fan, you know, that does go to the games.
Yeah.
Cost a big factor in it, I mean, because you look at it, even if you factor into the full away day, you go up to Ross County, this is an example, right? Great away day, we love it, we always go up because it's a proper away day, right? You've got the train, but you then look at your train.
You have to be a certain kind of person to make fucking Ross County though, man.
I love it. I love County's one of my favourite away days. County Inverness was always up there. So
Mallard.
I know Mallard, right? You couldn't get a pint any closer to a train, could you? You know, you fall off the train after you've been scudding your cans on the way up, right into the Mallard, and you're in there for opening time at 11. You know, it's smashing. Great day. I do enjoy my trip up there, but I think if you factor that in, you know, it's an expensive experience, an expensive ticket for that 90 minutes. But when you start to factor in for the away day, you've got your train, you've got your bevy, you've got your wee bit of food, and you've got your match. And that's before you end up getting back home at 7 o'clock, and then you're grouping your missus for a meal, or you've got the pub with the boys. It's an expensive business, especially now the cost of living, and that guys haven't got the disposable income that they've got to afford, maybe starting to pick and choose. But I mean, realistically, I think anything over 20 quid for a game of football is the value is no longer there for it.
Let's talk about the price of coming to Celtic Park. Is the price something that bothers you of a Celtic ticket?
Bothers me. You know, I don't know how. I've actually lost the video link here, so I can't quite work out what's going on. 2 seconds. It's asked me to get started again here.
No, you're just.
Oh, yeah, I'm back. Yeah, no, it went down. No, it did. It hung. So price and the wider thing about going to Celtic. I'm a strange animal. I go anyway, right? So Celtic Park, me personally, and I think I'll give you my own personal opinion. But speaking as a Hibs fan, it's overpriced. It's the dearest stadium in the country, right? For the shitest view, only Aberdeen comes close.
Brilliant. That's exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah, it's not correct. It's wrong. It should be. It should. Hibs. I'm an away season ticket holder at Hibs. For fans of other clubs, we run a away season ticket thing that guarantees you a ticket, but you have to buy that ticket and pay for it whether you like it or not. And there's not even enough unrestricted view seats at Celtic Park to cover the small 300, 400 group of away season ticket Hibs fans. So we have to go into a ballot about whether you can see the pitch or no. That's not right.
Nonsense.
And given
so much with that. So the boys have said to me that you're talking about 32, 33 quid for a ticket, away ticket. And is there a reduction for the restricted view?
I buy £1. It's nothing, and they overcharge for they. When I say they, I mean you guys.
Yeah.
Are the worst. They are the worst. You know, there's a couple of United aren't great anymore, which is a shame because they used to be another one of the clubs. I'll be honest, Hibs aren't great, but it's a reciprocal thing. You know, not all, the only people get mugged there are the fans. Both clubs.
It's always us, that.
So we'll talk about that in a minute, Scott. But my own opinion is that Celtic squeeze away fans in the corner because you put us in the same position as you'd like to put the Rangers support because of what they do back to you guys. So we all suffer from that.
Right. Okay.
And from a pricing perspective, we'll talk about that at the end. But given I go, and that's the thing, and my nephew goes, and the other 1,000 Daft Hibs fans that do go, we go anyway. There's all these guys that go. But I don't think what Celtic do is fair on away supporters, and let's change that perspective. Imagine a Real Madrid, a Barcelona, proper fans, no the football tourists, or you know, if they came to Celtic Park and had to stand behind a pillar for 90 minutes, which I've done. Those of you who don't know, I follow Everton and Barcelona for my sins. I follow Hibs. Hibs are my team, but I go to Celtic. I go where if they're playing in our country, I go and see them there. And they're flabbergasted. They love all your
Yeah.
Disco lights, noise. But actually watching the football, I know the guys aren't happy. It's like, how can we pay this kind of money to no get a full view of the pitch? Yet there's bits you can't see the goal mouth. I mean, that's the whole idea of football, is to see goals, you know. So I think Celtic have got it wrong, and given the kind of money you make in comparison to all clubs in Scotland, even including the Stickies, right? You think you could work out an engineering way of getting rid of that big pillar and any other pillar in front of your own fans.
100%.
So I don't think we're treated fairly. From that perspective, I think they overcharge us. It is leading to this other thing about how much it should cost for the real fans, the guys that go home and the girls that go home and away. We're mugged, and I mentioned I'm an Everton fan, so we'll talk about that, about how you can get around it and how it's easier to watch Everton away than it is to watch Everton at home.
Right.
You know, and we've never looked into it in Scotland because of two big issues: Rantic, Celtic and Rangers, and your expectations at away games, and so fans of my team, Hearts, don't go to Celtic because of the noise that goes with that, but Aberdeen do, and so do Hibs, and I think Motherwell bring a decent support as well, and Dundee United try to bring a decent support, but guys that go to the games with me, I'm not going to Celtic, it's a waste of time. I'm almost guaranteed a shitey seat, overpriced, I'm no bother. And the thing that maybe isn't talked about enough is, let's be honest, people stream it all the time now. Everybody sits at home with a can of beer. So it's taking these guys like maybe you, Scott, myself. I know we've sat together and had a pint at away games where Celtic's been the away team, Hibs been the home team. We go, but most folks say, fuck, I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
20 quid is always the marker. You see these sort of campaigns as well, 20s plenty and all that, and you know, a lot of that sort of over the last few years. And I say, I don't think paying going to pay 30 quid, but when you're going to play the likes of Rangers, Celtic, even Tynecastle's a graveyard for us as well. It's a good away day, Tynecastle though, but you factor that in. We go away we rarely win in Glasgow, right? We just you're almost gone. How many are we going to get beat with a day? That is because the West we've won a few times in recent years. Louis Moult scored 2. You know, that's probably the last time we get back to Kevin Twaddle scoring a 1-0 win. We were doing 10 men that night. You get back again to the Doogie Arnott's and stuff like that when Celtic Park was getting rebuilt.
Hated them, man.
We Doogie.
I hated them. Scored against us every. And then Doogie Arnott left, and you ended up with Tommy Coyne, and Tommy Coyne just destroyed us, man, every time.
Tommy Coyne was the first player as a youngster, you know, that, I mean, probably like Doogie Arnott and Cooper as well before the cup winning team, but Tommy Coyne was my absolute favourite player growing up as a kid. He was a smashing player for us. Yeah,
he really was,
great player for us. But the cost of it is, I mean, you're rocking up. You know that the chances of you winning are, you know, very, very, very slim. And the overall, and I'm sure we're going to put that overall experience of the day, isn't always a positive one either. You know, and I know you're going to be asking other questions about out with that, but yeah, 20 quid is, you know, where I would say you start to get to 30 plus. It starts to lose its appeal a little bit. It
is, if you're getting charged over 30 banger, like you say, you notice it creeping up, and if you're paying it and what you're getting, because ultimately if they're charging you over 30 quid, they're treating you like a customer, they're treating you like a fucking, so you've then kind of going, am I getting treated for 30 quid worth? I'm really fucking no. Well, we'll come to that in a second, right? So you've kind of touched on it, right? So you sound like you don't go on a supporters bus or stuff. So you generally make the train, right? So Celtic Park is, and so now you're a wee bit different because you're a Commander fan, but you're based in Glasgow. So your story's a bit different from a guy who stays in Commander, obviously. So let's start off with your basic journey to Celtic Park, right? I presume you would either get public transport or you would just drive along, right? So the two things I'm going to open up with, right? The price. So the price is the massive one for everybody, myself included. And then what's your experience of travelling to Celtic Park? Do you get grief? Do you find it a problem parking? Do you have a problem walking through Celtic fans?
So I'll start at I'll start the start. So obviously I grew up in Ayrshire, so I have kind of had experience of travelling through. I never lived in Kilmarnock. I grew up in well known Celtic hotspot, Co-Winning is where I'm from.
Jeez,
But no, I thought, but when I lived there, we used to often get, like, one of our pals would drive us and we would go in the car, and parking obviously around about Celtic Park. We're talking about over a decade ago, but parking was always difficult. We'd always get the kind of, here's a £5 to watch my car kind of guy, and you'd just be like, right, I'll better pay this. But
yeah.
I think it's a wee bit different now. I've not.
You still get the guys.
I'm just thinking, I've not been in the car in a long time, but now I'll generally go on the train. I live on the same line that you can get the train direct, so it's very handy for me. In terms of grief from Celtic fans in that respect, I've never found Celtic fans that bad, and with us, I've never had any major issues. I even remember when we beat you in the cup final, getting the train back from Hampden into the city centre with a bunch of Celtic fans, and there was not really a great deal of grief we've had. So that's my experience. I get the train to football a lot. I'm used to the raucous, the rowdiness of it, and Celtic fans are no different in that respect. But I've never felt in danger or anything. It's just like, I think we're probably a small enough fry that you don't care about us, and so that probably makes it a wee bit easier.
I don't think it's as bad as that, because that sounds bloody awful, doesn't it? I mean, nobody wants to hear that, but I don't think it's that. I think it's more, if Kilmarnock beat Celtic, generally Celtic fans will go, what have we done?
Aye.
Rather than, well, we've just been fucking pumped off of Kilmarnock. It's more a case of, he was shite, and we'll turn around at you and go, well done, my man. No, I mean, presuming you're driving.
Yep.
And are you driving yourself, or you get family member, you come, or is it
No, just myself usually.
Right. Okay. So your experience is going to be a lot different from the Edinburgh guys coming through and stuff like that, right? But I would say in the past you have an experience of that. So what is say you're coming to Celtic Park this weekend? Is it a case of you're just travelling down, you're getting in the game, and then you're back up the road? Or do you ever make a trip of it? Do you ever spend time in Glasgow for a couple of pints or something?
So it depends. If I've met up with some friends or know that there's people, I sometimes meet up in Glasgow. But in the main, I probably drive to somewhere near Shawfield, walk up past the Emirates into the stadium, turn around and go back again. Which opens me up to another bit that gets a bit interesting at away games, because obviously we usually get kept in for 15 minutes. So when I come out and walk back down there, it's pretty obvious that I'm probably an away fan, because I'm 15 minutes after everybody else, but I'm not with the away fans. I'm walking back.
Yeah, right.
So Celtic fans.
So either your past experience or even relatively recent experience, the fact I know exactly where you're parking, because I have quite literally started parking there as well now. So I know exactly where you're going on. Have you ever had any grievance with the home support with regards? I'm not talking about a bit of banter. A bit of banter's cool. I'm talking about anything more a bit dodgy.
No, I've not. I've got a couple of good stories I'll tell you about in a wee while. But the funny thing is, it's a few years ago now. I think Hearts Celtic was the last game of the season, and I thought, right, sensible where I'm going to be parking, because it was before the Emirates was built, but it was still down the same area.
Okay.
Sensible here, no colours, just go, jacket, jeans, inconspicuous. So I was probably the least inconspicuous guy walking up the road, because I was the only person not wearing green. So I would probably been as well having my scarf on, really. But
So basically, there's always been, certainly with, I've heard it from Hibs and I've heard it from St Mirren, where people get disgusted with the song that are sang by. Would that put you off coming to? Because you clearly say that you go to support your team with the hope that but you don't ever get put halfway singing and stuff like that, or do you know people who would?
There are
there will be a few that will get put off by it. I'm quite used to it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I find, and I know I'm not just saying this because I'm on a Celtic podcast, but I prefer going to Celtic Park than Ibrox. I find Ibrox more intimidating, and I've been more off put going there in the past. Like, for example, the first season we came up, we got a draw, and walking along kind of London Road back to find the car, and boys are jumping out the pub and congratulating us and getting the result. Now, when I was at Ibrox the following season, we got a penalty and went 1-0 up. We still lost the game 3-1, and I joked to my pal walking out of Ibrox going, well, we're the moral winners. We got a penalty at Ibrox from Willie Collum, right? And honestly, the way they looked at me, 3 boys turned round as if I just told them I'd shot their duck. Like, the way they looked at me, and I was like, you fucking won, lads. and you're kind of just...
Before you even enter the ground, right? This is a quick one, right? I think football fans in general are treated like shit, right? We're not treated well. Be it fucking Catlin is into this small area to get into this small turnstile, and you've got horses dancing in your head and stuff like that. In general, when you come to Glasgow, do you see a difference, or is it pretty much same anywhere you go?
It's different if you go to one of the teams.
Right, okay.
My experience of going to Parkhead, I could sit here and say to you it's absolutely dreadful, and it is, because my team gets pumped every single bloody time. So me being a football fan, that's the main thing, and that's what I associate going to Parkhead with, my team getting bit. But like the last time, just a couple of weeks when I went, I got there early, parked up on Dunn Street, because I just drive through because I've got the young lad. Parked up on Dunn Street, walk along the London Road. I could wear my scarf, I could wear my colours. Like, I'm not an arsehole. I didn't walk about the road singing and dancing and shouting at Abdi. So I'm just mind my own business. Got to the ground, no bother. I didn't see any bother. When you're in the ground, like, obviously you get, because there's the segregation, you're basically segregated by sometimes a line of stewards, sometimes a bit of police tape or something. Of course, there's banter back and forward. When goals are scored, there's boys running up to the tape and giving it the get it up you sign and whatever. And like, I'm cool with that, like absolutely fine with that. Now and again, you'll get the odd wee thing thrown, and I don't really like that, but only because my bairn's there and I'm not wanting him getting struck with something. But again, I'm not saying it's just one-sided, like it'll go both ways. But my experience, so the other mob that we didn't really like, who are at the other side of Glasgow, it's just horrendous over there, I think. And I'm not just saying that because I'm speaking of yourself, and I ken that you're a Celtic man. But when I took the wee man through there, probably a couple of months ago now, like I says to him, look, no colours, we'll park the car, we'll get there sharp so that we don't have to walk through hundreds or thousands of them. And then at the game itself, there's bottles of Buckfast in a hand get thrown at you. And I get put, like, I seen it with my NS, so I'm not making it up. I did see it with my NS, and it didn't come near me, but it came into the United end. It gets posted on social media. You see them saying, how the weekend it was thrown, it might have got dropped. You're like, this didn't get dropped, like it got thrown. And I get, what I will say, I get that United fans didn't help themselves that day, because that was the day when there was the minute silence for the Queen. And obviously, you guys had it out the park the day after, but on that day, United's young team were singing about people being in a box and whatever, and that just did not go down very well.
Your own experiences at coming to Celtic Park, right?
Yeah.
You don't come in a supporters bus, eh?
No, I choose not to.
So you either drive yourself through, or you're driven through. But do you get the train? You would often come through on the train and have a little wee day if time and all that suits.
So it's fair to say that unlike probably most of the rest of your guests, I've got good pals that support Celtic. I went to school with people, I've been brought up with people, I've become friends with people over the years. We often make a day of it. And I know there'll be others thinking all kinds of things about the relationship between him and Celtic, but it's not as personal. It's not nothing to do with it. It's because if you're brought up a certain way in this country, there's a fair chance that your pals support Celtic. That's natural. and that doesn't matter. That's not just Central Belt. That can be Dundee or any of these places as well. You know, so when I come to Celtic, 9 times out of 10 I would drive.
Right. Okay.
And park in a area full of Celtic fans, and I might be the only 1 or 2 Hibs cars there. The times I don't, I would probably take a train and make a day of it, and join mutual friends for a pre and post match day out, irrespective of score. 9 times out of 10 it's easy because you win and you're all jolly and happy, but the odd occasion we do win. I've never seen so many sour faces. Adventures when I come to Celtic, I park the car. Folk know I'm a Hibs fan because my nephew generally comes with me. My son generally comes with me. My other son's often there, and pals come. It depends how we fill our car, but we always do. The only precaution I take is I hide my Hibs air freshener on the car. Ridiculous as it sounds, because I've got a Hibs registration plate. I do. Nobody, in my experience, has said anything negative to us at all. And in my mature adult life, in the old days, I'll be honest with you, like you, we used to not fuck at each other. No love lost. It was Edinburgh versus Glasgow. I'm not sure it was Celtic versus Hibs. So, but that was a long, long time ago. When we walk to the ground now, and my young nephew's got his Hibs tracky top on, or his Hibs green, white, and black scarf, nobody says a word other than "all right, wee man," and hope you win, or or hope you have a good day out, or things like that. It isn't a negative experience. If I was to picture that against going to Ibrox, where I'm an old dafty, I don't really have any fear of them, but you could, if you were a younger guy, you would be shiting yourself. You don't have that experience. But if you ask me as a Hearts fan what I thought, I'm sure it's a very, very, very different experience.
Kind of ask you to talk for the Kelly fans here, right? And obviously talk for yourself as well. But like you say, you come yourself, or you come with your mates on the train, and you say you're comfortable enough walking through. Would you be comfortable enough to go for a pint and a boozer around Celtic Park?
I don't know the area, so probably probably not. Like, because I
mean, is that something you say you get the trains to games? Is that something you would do? Different places.
Some places, like I lived in Edinburgh for a couple of years, so I always know where to go for playing through there. Or and there's some towns that it's kind of like, there was always one we used to always go to, especially at Love Street. We used to always go to the same one. And now we still go to the same place, even though the stadium's moved.
Well, they've ruined that, haven't they? They're bloody that. I think that's the worst away thing ever.
Yeah, it's stuff like that. So, but with Celtic games, because we used to come in the car, we never did that, and now. I mean, I go to the Barrowlands quite a lot, but I always think even the pubs round about there, I get the same vibe. It's like they come across as very Celtic-y pubs, and I almost feel like you'd walk in and there'd be folk kind of turning. I've never done it, but I imagine they'd turn their head and look at you and kind of like, what the fuck are you doing in here, kind of thing. But so I've never really gone, and that might be incorrect. There might be places that are welcoming, but it's never been my experience. It's never been something I've tried to do.
An easy one for you, because it's the straight line from Marylebone straight, or Wishaw straight down the road, right? You say you like to go and have a bet, you like to fucking have a beer pre-match, you like to enjoy the day experience. So would you go into Glasgow before a Celtic game, or would you go to a pub and run by the Grun? I mean, would that be a bother to you, or is it something? Nah, we don't do that.
We just no. I wouldn't know any Motherwell fans before we play Celtic to go to anywhere. I mean, I've been in the turnstiles. I was there with a Celtic supporting mate watching the cup game against Dundee years ago, and I've been in there, but I've been just going as a neutral to a game.
Right. Okay.
But I mean, that's the only time I've ever set foot in a pub round about Celtic Park. Wouldn't even entertain it.
Right, and I should ask the other boys this, but would you feel comfortable doing that, say, at Tynecastle or Easter Road? You'd be fine going in with your colours on, but when it comes to Celtic Rangers, nah.
Yeah, I mean,
Tynecastle maybe a wee bit, because
you maybe have to be sensible with what pub you're going to.
Of course, you're not walking and clapping. You're going in for a pint. There you go, man.
I mean, I would say every other away. I mean, as long as you're not getting into you know, their pubs where their casual element hang about, right?
Yes, of course, of course.
You're avoiding the ones that you know you wouldn't go into, right? But if you're getting other pubs, you know, close to the ground, it's no bother. I mean, I don't tend to wear colours when I go to a game, mainly because pubs sometimes don't let you in, especially in Glasgow City Centre.
100%.
They're like that. So, some of my mates, they wear colours, but they would more wear a Clark Amber style type shirt rather than a Motherwell shirt, you know, type thing. But no, I wouldn't step foot in a pub even close to Celtic Park now. Would I go in? I would go in with no colours. No, if I was going in, I would give me no colours on. I would not even entertain stepping in with a Motherwell shirt on. No, absolutely.
Right, okay.
Absolutely no way.
I don't know. Do you know stuff like that? So, right. So I would ask you, as a seasoned campaigner of many away games, would you ever say you were deciding to stay down in Glasgow for the weekend? You were meeting up one of your friends and that. Would you ever see yourself going into a bar near Celtic Park, or is that a total no-no from your experience, even of other Hearts fans?
I mean, I've gone in. I mean, if I was going out for a drink, I'd be heading back right into town. You'd be getting into you'd be going to Merchant City or something. You know, I used to work around there, so that's where you knew the bars were. Anyway, so I'm unlikely to look at any of the.
Right. Okay. So it's not even worth your while. Right. Because there was a couple of Hearts boozers right in the slap bang the centre of town. Was there no? I mean, as I remember, Times Square had the supporters bus leaving for it, and there was a couple of boozers. So I suppose it makes more sense you would kind of get out of Dodge and head straight back into town.
I just think it's easier. You don't put yourself in.
Of course. Right. So kind of answered. I was saying so. Coming to Glasgow, you would drive through generally. I mean, would you ever have came through in the supporters bus and stuff? Like, would you ever come through to Glasgow, get a couple of pints, and then go to the game? And then on the same thing, would you go to a boozer and local to the stadium, or would that just be a no-no?
That's probably a no-no. I wouldn't be bold enough to go in my Livy scarf, to be totally honest with you, with that. But nah, we tend to just drive through, and it's kind of quick escape back home afterwards. And typically the only time I'll drink at the football in Glasgow is when I'm going to watch Scotland, because you're a home supporter in that situation. So, but I mean, you're talking about a supporters bus, Scott. You're thinking we've got more fans than we don't have enough fans for a bus. The bus company makes a loss when we aren't that. But nah, we tend to just jump into one car, make life easy for ourselves, and kind of quick escape, especially if we're getting a bit of a hiding as well.
Okay. Your experience is different, obviously, coming with a wee fella, but I would presume you've got experiences of coming through with the boys and coming through. Do you ever have a day? Do you ever go to, like you said, you parked down, so you wouldn't go for a pint local? Would that even come into your mind? Like, say the bus got there an hour early, would you go into any of the boozers around Celtic Park, or is it a no-no?
Me personally, I probably wouldn't. It's very rare when I do that at an away game. I mean, I've maybe done it at Hibs because we get the train through and there's a squad away and we go to, I'm pretty sure it's the Hibs Social Club or something. It's just off at Easter.
Oh, brilliant. Aye, class.
We go there, although you get to get upstairs and try not to come downstairs. There's never any bother. But talking purely about Celtic, I probably wouldn't, because like I wouldn't have known what. I mean, I dare say there's boozers that you'd be like, oh, you can go in there and they bother. But there's also maybe boozers that you're like, I maybe wouldn't go in there if I was a United fan with your scarf and your hat on and whatever, because you might not come out with it. So I probably wouldn't. But that's not a big part of the football experience for me. Like because I go with the young lad, he's only 13.
Yeah.
It's fine. Like I don't need to go and have a couple of beers before it.
I understand. See in general, Alan, how many fans is Hearts usually taking? Say if we take away Celtic Park and Ibrox, and we concentrate on other. How many Hearts fans in general are you talking about? Are you talking about 2,000-3,000?
Yeah, about that. About a couple. So, like at St Mirren, we'd fill out one end of the ground.
Right. Okay.
Motherwell, we get a fair few. I'm trying to think of the other ones I go to quite often. Kilmarnock, we get quite a good slot, but probably between 1,500 and 2,500, depending on.
Decent amount then. What sizes of away support in general if you took away Celtic Rangers games?
Lucky if you get a couple of hundred. I think the last couple of games over at Kilmarnock, we had just under 200. Tynecastle, which is, well, shortest trip that we'll make over the course of a season. We had probably closer to double that at Tynecastle the other week. But in general, it's about, say, 150 to 200.
Right, so you're averaging 150, 200. And then when you come to Celtic Rangers, I presume it's lowered. Is it lowered because you don't win often there, even though you've had some decent results? Or is it that people kind of go, it's not worth the hassle because we might not win and it's fucking a fortune?
Combination of the two. Like I'm one of those fans, Scott. I go to every game regardless because
see your team.
To go and see my team, and you never know what can happen, right? Like we went and got a draw. Like we went and got a draw at Ibrox the other week, and it's the first time I think since 2015 we've got a result at Ibrox, and we'd only ever done that once before prior to that. So, you know, it's good to say that you were there when you got those results, and we've had luckily enough we've done all right at Celtic Park since we've been promoted as well. But I think it is a combination of the two. Probably the cost. The likelihood is you're going to watch your team get beat, so folk are going, why bother spending all that when you know the likelihood of it? I mean, the last time I was at Celtic Park was the 0-0 where Strike saved the penalty late on, but it's quite a funny moment during that game because there was a Celtic fan came to sit in the away end, and a steward had said you're in the wrong section and he wouldn't move. And we just turned round and shouted at him. We were going, right, you realise you've made the away crowd 55 if you're in there, right? and he bolted away with his green salt and vinegar crisps, right? Back into the home section of the crowd. But that gives you an idea. I reckon there was a good chance there probably was about 54 Livingston fans at that game. But it's a combination of the two. It's a bit... You really want to pay 32 quid when the likelihood is your team's not going to get a result, and then it's a bit of both, really.
What numbers do you reckon generally go to Motherwell away games if you took away Celtic Park and Ibrox?
So, I mean, we were at Tynecastle there. I actually couldn't make it because I was away here, so I was away on holiday. We sold our section at Tynecastle. Right. And
so, how many did they give you? Because they bams keep cutting things, man.
It could be about 1,000.
Right, okay, right. So decent.
I mean, for Motherwell, we've got a core home, 4,000-ish. Core fans at very rare. We always just stick at that. So 25% of support at away games reasonably good. Don't get me wrong, you've got other ones that Derek Kelly will take close to 1,000. It's a easy enough away day to get to. There's some other away days where there's a bit more meaning to it. We'll take a lot more. We take a few thousand. To places that it's a really, really meaningful game. But I would say you're looking at a core away support for the more easily access games, probably about 800-ish.
Right.
So 900-ish, give or take, for away fans.
And then do you see that numbers dipping going to Celtic Park? Aye. By a good wad.
There's a lot of Motherwell fans that won't even go to home games against Rangers.
So before we get into the ground, police and steward wise, are you seeing anything different at Celtic Park than you see anywhere else, or is it just your usual away fan experience?
The hard thing is, like, we are probably small enough that most away games we go to, you've only got a couple. Like, there's not a massive, like, the big city teams, including yourselves. You see it as the Rose and Roses stewards, and you see those photos of folk that have got their ticket in the front row and they can barely see the game because rare that maybe a St Mirren game they'll do that, and maybe because it's kind of closer and we tend to take a big crowd. If we go to Perth or we go to I don't know, one of the Dundee teams or something, you don't usually get that because I think we're probably not deemed that high risk. But Celtic Park, certainly from our support, has a reputation as consistently having the worst stewards.
Right, interesting.
Been absolute pricks, basically. Just we've had. I've heard
third person in the bounce to say that.
I've just heard like stuff like you'll go to sit down, there won't be a seat there, and they'll come and tell you to sit down. Stuff like that. You're like, we don't want me to sit, and then they're like they're going on about giving them attitude when you're like, well, you're telling me to sit down and there's no seat. So there's that aspect of it. The police are the police everywhere. I don't. Might be different experience for Celtic and Rangers fans, and maybe Hearts and Hibs. I don't know. For me, the police are not often the problem when you go to the football. The problem comes for the stewards. But I guess that's probably different for you guys because it's police totally differently. But yeah, so the police are police generally fine. It's the stewards that I always find. And of course, then if the police are going to take the stewards' side on any, which I get that they're not going to go. In most cases, side with a punt.
Like you say, there's kind of got to be a middle ground, isn't there?
Yeah, and it's
coming up to the game, and you've spoke about walking through the fans. That was interesting. So you're getting up. Do you see a change in how you're treated by the coppers, like in Glasgow, or is it no a thing? Is it just basically your usual? You're a scumbag football fan, and that's how it is.
That's
I mean,
I tend to agree. I'm getting a bit older now, right? And I'm thinking as well. I try and keep myself away from it, right? The last thing I need is getting lifted again, right? And I had a wee experience at Celtic Park about, I tell you, it was the day that Scott McDonald scored 3 goals against us just after he left Motherwell to join Celtic.
Right,
so
okay.
It was a long time ago. I'm not getting the details, but let's just say I had I could probably give a wee quick review of the Celtic Park sales are like. That was again, that was just, coppers, they just see everybody the same at the football, right? You're going to get a more boisterous lot, right? You've got the Green Brigade, you've got the Well Boys, right? But let's be honest with you, they go in really heavy-handed to these guys, but they just see everybody as the same. I mean, the minute they weighed in at the first possible opportunity, getting ejected for the likes of Celtic Park at Ibrox as well. You know, it used to be. I've not really noticed it as much. Maybe I've matured a wee bit now. Maybe I don't get involved in all that now. But that used to be a regular thing all the time. You know, it was a case of how long you're going to last the day when you went to Celtic Park, Ibrox, or the likes. You know, you used to get regularly parked out for the really minor things in the grand scheme. You're no launching coins or anything like that. You could be the thing is you're standing up, right, and you refuse to sit down, right? That was maybe going back a wee bit now. I know, but I'm going back maybe 10, 15
that's no as mental now as it used to be.
It's not, and that pisses me off. You can go and stone it inside the hydro, you know, and watch. Right? But you can't stand at the football when you've got a seat behind you, enough space. That's bonkers. But that's another argument, isn't it? That's a total argument. But no, coppers in general, they just see you as a scummy football fan, right? It's almost par for the course. You go to the football, you don't even have a beer on the train these days, right? But that's the general. Supporters bus. If you go to a football game, you can't have a pint, you can't have a drink on the bus. But I tell you what, you can go and watch the rugger up at Murrayfield and sit and get tore in.
But do you get any snash after the police that you get? Is it basically you're run of the mill kind of away? You're a football fan, you're a scumbag kind of thing, or is it sound getting into the ground? Because like you say, you're kind of walking through the home fans, no problem, and then like the coppers are sound enough, then aye.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever had any issues with that. I mean,
right.
We're essentially being man-marked. I think they overdo the shielding for our away fans, to be honest. Well, it's what man-to-man marking when we go to Celtic Park and Ibrox. But I can't say I've ever kind of experienced issues with that. Certainly when I've been there. I think maybe that nil game the first season back up. I think we had a few extra fans in, and the police were a bit arsey with a few of the fans kind of singing up the back end of the stand behind the pillar, but I wasn't kind of in amongst it, so I couldn't really tell you what
So
was
you
going
couldn't
on.
really,
But, but I think that's the only time I kind of remember anything of note with them being a bit arsier than normal. But nah, I can't say it's something I've experienced personally.
I think it's just run about the ground as well. Isn't it a particularly great experience as well? Yep. Generally as well, there's
brilliant. That's exactly what I was looking for. Aye.
Right. So it's not a great experience because even if you're cut to train, right? If you're maybe Bridgestone or whatever it is, I mean, I've always got at Bridgestone and walked down rather than Kilmarnock. I'm not sure why,
right.
but walked down to Bridgestone. It's you're outnumbered, right? That's natural, right? It's a home day for Celtic. You'd expect that to be the case, but it's not a particularly friendly atmosphere. If I was walking down my mates off, I'm not saying that folk are going to be spitting at me or anything like that, right? But it can feel quite intimidating. You know, the group say, I wouldn't feel intimidated, but I reckon that, a guy with his young boy or something like walking on the street could be quite intimidated by groups of guys maybe in their 20s and stuff like that, maybe being a wee bit boisterous, a wee bit, maybe getting involved in some chatting that's maybe not particularly friendly, in such way. Now, I've never had an issue. I've never had any sort of attack or anything like that at Celtic Park. I've just always felt that when you walk along, when you actually then cut up into the away end, it just seems totally different, because there's, Celtic fans are all the way elsewhere. It's an intimidating atmosphere because you're significantly outnumbered, right? That's a big factor in it, but that's just a given, the fact that there's 60,000 home fans to 250 to 300 away fans.
Of course, yeah. Would in your experience, have you ever felt the police were kind of more heavy-handed at Celtic Park, or is it just your usual away fan experience of that we're all scumbags and we all get pushed into our areas and stuff like that, or is it just something like that?
So I think they are more heavy-handed.
Right.
I mean, I think, like, we all know, and Celtic fans at the other end of where we are have got the same problem, that the view's not great, right? You've got a few pillars, or one major pillar usually in your way, and if you move out your seat to try and get a better view, there'll be somebody screaming at you to sit down.
Right. Okay.
And Celtic Park's probably the only ground I go to that I sit at.
Right.
Because I hate sitting at football.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
And most grounds, they never bother. We come in, you sit down, they come out to kick off, you stand up.
Mm-hmm.
At half time, you sit down again. But not at Celtic Park. The boys
is that
are on
still
you.
the case, Alan? Because from my experience, it looks like more people are standing up. But I mean, I unlike what you're saying, I have heard that the stewarding at Celtic Park can be bordering on obscene at times.
I mean, it is just, you do just think, give it a break. They're much more in your face than anywhere else, I think.
Right.
And it's not necessarily the police, but the steward and things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll give you a silly example. And this was a few years ago. If you remember all the MasterCard adverts that had the, 50 quid for this, something else, fantastic type thing. And a guy had a banner in one which was, say, 26 points Celtic Hearts, watching them lose the league, priceless, right? Which was quite funny. I mean, it's not got any sectarianism, it's got nothing in it, just quite funny. And as soon as it appeared, the tweets were in, ripping out his hand. And you just thought that was a bit of banter. It was quite funny.
We're in the game, and you brought it up, the famous poll that's been spoken about by everybody, right? I mean, I have my opinion, probably exact same as you. It's an absolute shambles that you're paying money and you're stuck behind. That's even there, and it's never been dealt with at this point. So just give me an all-encompassing, right? Go for it. Tell me about what it's like to be a Kilmarnock fan who comes to Celtic Park, paid their money, and you're in, even if you're not behind it or something. Just give me a general. And tell me, do you boys ever make an atmosphere that you kind of go, this is magic, I can really like it, or it's...
Not at Celtic Park that often. I think it's part of the problem is you're always going to struggle to make an atmosphere when you're getting beaten. Most of the time we'll come to you, and there's exceptions, but we'll be, we do well if we've not conceded a goal in 15 minutes, and then it's just like, right, okay, same again. There's been a couple of times, I think, there was obviously the game when Steve Clarke was the manager, that we came, it was about this time of year, and we came to Parkhead and we were top of the league. And that day, briefly, it was a bit of a, an atmosphere about it, because you're like, if we do something here, of course we got beat 5-1, but that's that always frames your atmosphere, right? So
the varying reports I've had for people is Celtic Park's away allocation is probably the worst view in Scottish football and in Scottish Premier League. Is that something you would concur?
I think it is now, because like growing up, all stadiums had pillars that you used, but you were standing, so you could move about and avoid them. Most stadiums don't have pillars now. You've just got that bundle of pillars, and we're stuck in one wee corner. I mean, going back when Parkhead wasn't all seated, you used to be able to stand up the back. And I really liked going to Celtic Park. Then you got a great view, and it was really good because we were around a bit further in that, away from the main stand. But now you just feel as if we're the tolerated people stuck in a wee corner out of the way. And I know there must be Celtic fans at the other end of that main stand that have got the same pillar problem as we've got. But yeah, I would say it's the worst.
What is it like in the away section? Is it a decent view? Do you know what I mean? Can you boys get a decent sing song? Can you? Know what I mean? Is it all right for your door, or is it fucking, this is a shambles? I can't see down there, I can't see there. I mean, you must have been to Motherwell away, where you get landed up the top tier and you can't see the goal. You know what I mean?
Again, we don't bring enough fans to get allocated the top tier.
I'm really not.
But no, at Celtic Park, you used to get the away section used to go right up to the back, but when we've been there recently, it gets kind of cut off almost halfway. There's only so far that we can kind of go back, and essentially, if you're wanting to avoid the pillar, you're kind of at worm's eye level, and for watching a game, it's no great. Like,
no good, right?
For example, I'll use that 0-0 game as I'm just trying to get in that we got a result. As many things as possible. But for example, the incident that happened, we had no idea what happened until we got in the car on the way home and heard it on the radio, because you couldn't see a thing really at the opposite end of the park. And it's not the best view. And it used to be better though, because I'm pretty sure the section got cut off right to the top. But when we've been recently, it's been kind of almost cut off halfway. So we're kind of getting proper wedged in right at the bottom of the stand in that corner. So given how much you're paying, it's no great.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. See, in the stadium itself, right? So there's a running joke. Within Celtic fans that away fans come in, no matter where they are, they'll go and stand behind that big pole, take a photo, tell us how terrible it is, and then go back to their seat. Right? The poles are shambles. The poles are absolute shambles. There's no deflecting or denying that. But in the ground itself, is it a bad seat? Is there bad seats, or is it just your Donald Duck?
No, I think I don't think it's that bad. Like, I've obviously seen a lot of criticism as well, but don't get me wrong. If I am genuinely stuck behind the pole, then it's a pain in the arse because you're going from left to right. In fact, sometimes United are through there. That might be the best view, Scott. Just hide behind that pole so you kind of see what the hell's going on the park. But certainly, the last time I was there a few weeks ago, I was in kind of the lower section. As was said, there wasn't that many United fans. Maybe only took about 500 because we're stinking just now. So no, it was fine. Like, there's plenty worse. Pataudry, for example, that's an absolute tip. That's a dump on end. But no, the away end at Celtic Park, for me anyway, it was fine. I'm sure other people will have their own thoughts, and they've maybe got a bad experience for whatever reason. But no, I've always been all right.
Right, so we're on the ground. I've had varying reports on this. what's it like being an away fan at Celtic Park, right? So you guys are, he's only filling the section, so you've got your bit, and what's the view like? What's the atmosphere like? Can you get a good buzz in it? What's the food like? Do you ever buy any food?
So if you look at the famous poll, right? I mean, that's
I've stopped mentioning it now. I'm letting you guys mention it.
It's the famous poll, right? I mean, I'm sure you must have the same view at the opposite end, of the main stand view coming in. So Celtic fans are maybe the similar sort of restricted view. Generally, when we visit, there's enough space that you don't really need to. You can probably move about and you can get a reasonable enough view. But I've been at times where you've not been able to. Back when we used to take a bigger support, we don't take a big support these days. So the view's no great. Can you create an atmosphere? Probably not really. But again, that's not really Celtic's fault, because the two big factors of that is the numbers of away fans. So you can't really create a picture of noise or a buzz or anything like that when there's no many of you. And the second thing is you get drowned out so quickly by the 60,000 fans who are about you. That's not Celtic's problem. That's just the problem that there's not enough of you and you're in an area where you're outnumbered, so many ways. But the overall experience in there, I still stand by. See the cunts that sit to the right hand side of you, the Celtic fans. See the amount of abuse you get off them. I'm sure some of them just actually pay their 30 quid to go in and stand and shout abuse at you. Just the wee comment, and that goes back to the police thing as well. I was years ago, they're shouting abuse at you. You get a wee bit back, and the coppers are straight on you, and straight into you, and you're like, that bastard has been at me for the last half hour, right? But again, you can see that as banter. So I can work both ways, right? I love a wee bit of banter like that, right? I like a proper banter, right? Some of that shite is just somebody just being a dick, right? But
outside,
one big man. Right? You see that with these coppers about your shit, right? But you can get a wee bit of banter here and there, but a lot of it is just that nonsense as well in there. But again, it's not a particularly great experience when you factor it all in. You're looking at the stuff you're saying, the cost this make the experience maybe going into the ground isn't really the best, because you could be, not everyone, but some people could be intimidated. The view isn't as bad as folk make it, right? Folk would have you believe that every single seat in that away section is behind the pole. It's no. There is absolutely a good chunk of it.
There's a big pole.
There's plenty of space, especially to the sort of front bit where you can view round. It's not the best view in the world, because you're stuck in a corner rather than sitting at a good decent bit of height, either behind the goals at a height, or obviously you would ideally want to be side on, but obviously that doesn't happen for away fans. You then factor in the coppers and Stewart's experience, isn't brilliant either. Food, if I've had a few too many pints, I maybe pick up a pie or something like that, but I probably couldn't remember what I'd eaten. So I can't review, but it's probably, I'd imagine you probably do the cater out. It's probably the same mob that does the Hampden that does you guys and that. It'd be the same.
In that section, it's hard to maintain an atmosphere, because I've seen you guys bring through a wad, and I've heard these making a lot of noise. And then is there no, like, it's just a really bad, no matter where you are in that section, you think it's a terrible away part for watching the game?
Worst in Scotland, worst in the big teams in Scotland, the top 20.
Right, okay.
Worst. Aberdeen's the only one that comes close, because they kid on. You can see and create an atmosphere, but you can't. Right? You get. I was at Tawdry the other week, and I was in the back row, as it turned out, because I'd complained about the away season ticket allocation and where we sit, and they didn't know there's a big fence. And you can't see. You can't see a whole bit of the ground. You can't see the game going on. Celtic, you can't see the goals. And they sell a ticket to 50, 60 guys that can't see the goal mouth. That's just not right. And that's structural adjustments. That work in the building industry. It's about money. It's not about, and the only time it'll matter is when no away fans go and your own fans are moaning because they can't see. And adjacent to when we play, we do sell out. Can't remember last time we didn't sell out. We sell whatever ticket Celtic give us. But we're only a proverbial bogey away for the home support, and I think it's because it's Hibs and Celtic. The same thing comes when you play us. The segregation's looser. How quickly everybody flows away for the game. They kind of no bothered, because they know 10 minutes later we're on the pub together, joking or fighting, one of the two, or arguing.
Interesting, right? That's that. I have heard that from Hibs and St Mirren. I've heard that from Hibs and St Mirren, and obviously it frustrates the living daylights when you see the home ends only full and you're cutting their allocation.
Yep.
You boys haven't been so bad. I mean,
No, we
you
have
used to
in the
get
past.
a lot more at your ground. I mean, but it's interesting. I mean, would that just be because of the singing stuff? Just no
It's a-
interest in get involved in it.
In
In your perception.
in my view, so the reason we used to give you both the south and the Cooper stand at Fir Park, give you both ends of that ground for that period of time, and I sit at the
main stand. We go about the main stand as well.
There used to be the wings of the main stand as well.
That's right,
We
yeah.
used to then, I mean, the east stand for us, that's where I sit in the east stand, so you're away, you're in the 2-tier section, I sit on the right hand side, up the other end for you, up there. I've sat there, stood there for years, but we used to commute there, and then the Celtic fans coming at the Cooper stand, and Celtic fans coming for the south stand round, so you were getting them round both ways, and there's a lot of families there, right? There's a lot, Motherwell have got a lot of young kids that go and take with their family, coming out there, and to be honest with you, there's a lot of unsavoury stuff sang at football grounds, right? Celtic singing, tell you, Rangers singing, Motherwell fans have sang stuff even in recent weeks I've heard, that's really unsavoury, right? I think when you're coming out and there's big groups of guys, maybe, with a right good swally, quite boisterous, quite intimidating, you've just pumped his fucking 5 or 6-0. Right? I mean, I'd be way up the road after half an hour, right?
Let's concentrate on the singing thing. Is that something that you've noticed that people kind of going, I'm not interested in putting myself through that, or is that just more a thing for when we come to you guys?
I think it's worse when you come to Tynecastle. Right. We've got guys that sing songs. I'd be quite pleased if they wouldn't sing them either. Yeah. And I used to go to Hearts games, and the guy I went with was Catholic, and you're listening to some of these songs coming, and they're mainly only sung when we're playing you or Hibs to be. But you just think, give it a bit of a break, It's not the be all and end all. Some songs are good and they're quite funny, and there's some you think, just unnecessary now,
Is the atmosphere, is it good, or is it basically if we're winning it's good, we're losing it's crap?
It's
hard question. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, it is what it is, I suppose. Obviously I think you're on about like the corner section that's got
Green Brigade,
the Green Brigade. They could stand, can they? Has that been converted into like a standing section? So that's obviously where the main noise comes from. I didn't really pay attention. Obviously, when you guys score, it's loud. You kind of pay attention to that. It's incredible. It's incredibly loud. But my thoughts on it are probably like coloured by the fact that United usually go through there and whether they play good, bad, indifferent, ultimately get beat. So
the atmosphere. Have you ever really felt the famous Celtic atmosphere, or is it always just because yourself? If you're playing a European game or you're playing Livingston, there's going to be a different level. Do you know what I mean? And I don't hope that's no patronising. But has there ever been a time where you kind of go, "Fuck me, aye, that's fucking loud, man"? Eh?
Well, we've been there on Flag Day. Our first game when we got promoted was unveiling the championship flag, and it is quite electric. And again, that last game I was at, when you've done that silence for the first half hour, and actually, by the way, Green Brigade, you actually went a few seconds early on the half hour. We were timing it.
I'll let them know.
But when that stopped was quite frightening, actually. It was almost quite intimidating to experience that. And I've been in the home. I've been at Celtic Park as a home fan when Scotland have played there as well. So I've experienced that as well when we played like Faroe Islands years and years ago, because Robbie Williams had nicked Hampden, and then there was the Ireland and England games more recently, back in 2014, I'd say. But like the atmosphere, I always say that Ireland game's one of my favourite ever Scotland games, and at that point there was a lot of chat about Hampden. I was like, move games here because the atmosphere's on a different level to when we play at Hampden. So I would say the atmosphere is fantastic at Celtic Park pretty much every time I've been, even when it's a run of the mill game against ourselves. And the thing I would always say, like, hate to compare the two of you obviously, but Celtic seem to back the team more.
Right.
Like, for example, when you're drawn with us going later on, they're backing the team, whilst 20 minutes in when you get Ibrox, you've turned the crowd against them. And it's, I feel like you don't get that as much at Celtic Park. I feel they're more urging the team on to get the result rather than getting on the back because they've no already a goal up against little old Livingston.
Is it still a case that you get kept in for the 15 minutes after the game?
So, I've not been this season. I'm trying to think. But last season, that definitely happened.
Definitely happened last season.
Yeah.
And I often wonder, I mean, because
that happens at Ibrox as well. They keep you in till everybody's out the way, so they can get set up to get you when you leave.
How long do you go locked in? Do you go locked in Celtic Park?
No. I asked when we were going in because like years ago when I went to Celtic Park, like we did get locked in maybe for about 10 or 15 minutes.
Right. Yeah. They used to do the tannoy announcement. I always remember that.
Yeah.
They will be kept in for 15 minutes.
Yeah. Well, they didn't commit to a time these days because they done it to Aberdeen last week, and they did it at Ibrox, and they just say, look, it'll just be for a short period of time.
Right. Okay.
So they didn't commit to it'll be 5 minutes. It'll be an hour. So you're just at the mercy, and you're just waiting on somebody opening a bloody gate for you. But no, we didn't get kept in at Parkhead. I don't know if that's because there wasn't that many of us. Or
no, it's quite. So, what about food? Do you ever buy anything at the game?
So I'm vegan, so I don't tend to.
Right. Okay. Right.
I used to buy stuff, but Celtic Park's a wee bit expensive, and I never get pies apart from at our place, like because they're good at our place, and I've never really seen them good anywhere else. But St Johnstone's the other place because they used to do the good. They do like a special pie of the month. So, so when I used to eat meat and all the rest of it, I did get one there occasionally. But so I don't tend to bother with food at any football because you can't usually get much.
But it was interesting you said it was expensive because that's my belief as well. I think for what you're getting.
It's expensive everywhere. I mean, it's expensive at our place as well because it's funny. They were obviously doing a wee bit of renovation in the food places at Rugby Park, and they'd obviously found the old signs. So it was like, but this was from I reckon I worked it out. I reckoned it was about 20 years ago, right. And the price of a pie was like $1.20 or something, and I was like, you're $3.50 now for a pie at the football, and it's. I think it's about $3.50, so it's like you see just how much it's escalated in that short period of time, and the price has not changed that drastically in a baker.
Exactly,
so
aye.
You just see it, you just see that, and it's funny that obviously they dug it and that they didn't think, right, we better cover this up before come in again, but. So yeah, it's the same everywhere. I've never noticed Celtic Park being worse than anywhere else, but as I say, I don't buy it much.
Right. Okay. So that kind of wraps us up. I'm going to ask you one last question before I let you go. Now, right. The next one I've got for you is the food in the ground. Right. I don't know if you would indulge. I mean, I dare say when you've got the way you'll be kind of, I want a pie, I want this, I want that.
Yeah.
What is your experience of the food at Celtic Park? Because it comes under heavy criticism from us, and I presume that yous are getting worse, to be honest. But I don't know. I don't know if you've even got a strong opinion on it. You know what I mean? No,
it's strange. When I go to away games, like, we always get something to eat. When I go to Tannadice, I never spend it. No, never. Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe it's because I've travelled and it's kind of I should have been eating something at dinner time and I haven't, so I just have something at the game. But the Scran wasn't any better or worse than anywhere else. I don't think so. Nah, the prices were bizarre.
Yes, yes.
Like £3.69, £3.13. I was like, what's that about?
The reasoning for that, according to John Paul Taylor, our SLO, basically we had a price agreed with him, and then they said we're going to put the price up along with inflation.
Mm-hmm.
And Celtic says, right, okay. And then they said, but we'll round it up, and then you'll get the benefit. And Celtic said, no, don't round it up on your sake. And so they put it up their percentage. Right. So whatever was £4.99 has went up to £5.43.
Yeah.
Because that's them. They've put that on, and Celtic have went, well, we don't want you to round that, put another 50 pence on. So that's why that's what I was told.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that makes sense. It's still bizarre when because I took a photo.
I mean, like, I'll tell you a story that I told them that day, right? So we come back to Celtic Park after COVID, after Brexit, and the wee man loves the hot dog. The wee man, hot dog at the game, right? Like
£5.15.
He's 6-year-old, and this big hot dog, brilliant, and that's part of the game. This is part of the thing, and I want him to go and I want him to enjoy it. And for the first year and a bit for coming back for COVID, there was no hot dogs. It was just pies, and he didn't want a pie. And I asked the boy, I said to him, right, not the cleverest behind the counter, all the young folk, you know what I mean? And I was like, so what's the script you've got no hot dogs? Brexit, my man. It's fucking no Brexit. Don't tell me it's Brexit.
Brexit. But, you can go down to the local Asda and pick up exactly, 1 million hot dogs if you want.
So they brought them back, and I never looked at the price. I never looked at the price. I says, can I get a juice, a Fanta, and a hot dog, please? And the girl was like, right, okay. So I've got a fucking, and she's like, £8.70 or something, £8.74. And I was like, no, just a hot dog and a drink. And she's like, £8.74. And I looked up, I was like, it's like £5.85 for a hot dog. I was like,
yeah,
a hot dog.
I can. It's
and you committed for that point, now, I mean.
No, that's it. It's cinema prices. Like for years and years, the prices that you get chairs in cinemas for a packet of sweets or something's like 4 times what you get in the supermarket half a mile away. But football started doing that as well. So, like it's probably no worth it. Like a lot of things at the football, but I wouldn't say you were any better or any worse than any other away ground that I've been to.
Right. You've kind of already answered this because do you ever buy anything at Celtic Park, or would you be somebody who buys food at the games?
I buy a coffee. A cup of coffee usually. Now that's interesting. For a wee while, we were only getting the food shack up the back of this allocated bit. Now, then it started to open up the bit down the bottom.
Right, okay.
Which is effectively connected to the Celtic fans one as well, but we don't get offered the same selection of food, although it's coming for the same place, which always seems a bit...
That's a bit mental, man.
You know, a guy saying, can I have chips? No, you can't have chips. And
if you could change something, what would be your number one change?
Well, I'd just like a better view.
A better view. Simple as that, yeah.
That would be the easiest bit. But
if you could change one thing about coming to Celtic Park, right, aside from results-wise, right, but if you could change one thing, what would be the thing that you would change? Would it be location or just plain Jane Price?
Bit of both, I would say, Scott. I think you can, when you are a bit further back in that section, you can avoid the pillar depending on where you position yourself.
The pillar's horrible, isn't it? I mean, they sell it. We always laugh that away fans go up and take a photo behind the pillar, then move to the seat so they can monitor it. Do you know what I mean? But as somebody who has sat there through a daft incident of me selling my own ticket, I ended up in there with Inter Milan fans, and I remember looking at it going, that's fucking shocking, man.
There is a part where you can position yourself where the pillar doesn't cause that big a disruption, and you are further back in the stand, so the view's actually not that bad when you can kind of position yourself there. And because there's not that many of us, it's normally quite easy. But again, because they've shifted how far the away section's gone when we've been there recently, you can't do that really.
So it's probably a case of they don't want to stick you behind the post and they don't want to have you moaning about it, so we'll put you down the front, and as you say, you've got no perspective of where the fucking ball is in the pitch.
Exactly. With the camera at the pitch, you don't even see that. You can see a player running, and you're assuming they've got the ball at the opposite side of the pitch. But
if you could change a thing about the Celtic experience, what would it be? Would it be kind of getting a pint somewhere? Would it be where the fans are located, or is it simply just the price?
I think to be fair, guys will pay the price for going away day, right? Yeah, but they won't pay 30 quid, right? Even though we sit and moan about it, right? We're saying 20's plenty and all the rest of it. We'll pay the 30 quid to go and follow our team. I think the big thing for us is probably somewhere to go. See somebody go for a pint before the game. See there was a decent boozer where fans, even Motherwell fans, couldn't have, whatever it would be. I think that would be a big thing, because what we always say is Celtic Park is a shit away day, because you end up getting to sit and drinking the Tundra, you end up drinking quite regularly anyway. Aye, so, do you know what? Without going for the obvious price one, I would probably say somewhere a better away day for a pint. Go somewhere a bit more less partisan, we'll call it, right?
Yeah.
You know, for a pint is probably the thing that would probably sway me more to go regularly, I think, to Celtic Park.
If you could change one thing about the whole Company Celtic experience, as a general Hibs fan, rather than the situation you've got where maybe you'll go and you'll sit in nice seats and stuff like that, rather than that, as you're playing Jane, coming and sitting, coming taking your ticket for Celtic Park, would it be price? Would it be location of seat? There was something I was talking to Mitch, the Motherwell fan, and we were talking about, it was probably less relevant to Hibs, is an away, a boozer that actually encourages away fans to congregate right in the ground.
Not remotely relevant to Hibs.
Right, not to you.
Celtic Park. I can walk into any Celtic boozer with Hibs colours on or
That's
not.
been my experience as well with Hibs.
Right, aye. And if you come to us, generally you'd have to have made a big mistake and walked into one from the other side in our area, which there is the odd one. So I don't think even Hibs fans with stranger allegiances still could come into your pubs and they would say, not even. I've been 50 times, and you get a bit of poke and a bit of folk take the piss, but so pubs aren't it. There is two, and I can't differentiate between them. I think it's too expensive for football fans in general for away games.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to touch on earlier about following Everton. And the second one is where we're put. Not so much where we're put, but the view from where we're put. And if Celtic were to do one thing, it would be employ one of the hundreds, possibly thousands of Celtic supporting structural engineers to come up with a better idea than that big fucking pillar. Because it's a nonsense, and you know, you could probably charge more for European games. You could probably charge more when the cream buns come to visit you, because folk can actually see. When you charge for a restricted view, you charge less.
It's garbage. You've hit the nail firmly in the head now. Everybody I spoke to has brought up the poll, right? And
it's nonsense.
That's and I think it's appalling myself.
It's Arthur Boric, we call it, you know, the big pole.
The big. Well, that was it. The booze that I drink, kids get one, and we all called it Darius. I mean, we went back a bit.
Yeah, sorry. I see. You notice I knew who that was, but and they're combined, and I think the away football fan one, if they want Scottish football to thrive and get fans going,
100%.
in times of austerity, make it affordable for us, because you know we're very faithful to our clubs, and we want.
I kind of think I know the answer to this, but if you could change one thing about coming to Celtic Park right now, what would it be?
I would ask Mr. Postecoglou if he could only play 10 players for the whole 90 minutes. Give a fucking chance, will you? He comes across as a lovely guy. I'm sure he would consider it. I'm sure he'd consider it. That would make such a difference. And then if I had to pay 35 quid, it might be worth it, because we might get a point. But all joking aside, ticket prices, and not just at you guys, ticket prices across the country are too dear, in my opinion. And whoever started the 20s plenty, and right behind that idea.
Good man. Bearing in mind, you said you've no been, but you could end up going this season, whatever, right? If there was a thing, and I suppose this is a general question for all your away games, but if there is a thing at Celtic Park that you would change straight away from there as a Kelly fan coming to Celtic Park, what would it be? Would it be the price? Would it be the location? What?
Nah, the location. I was going to say, can I change the team on the park?
The results,
Can you stick the Cowden Beef team out there, and I'll probably go more often. But no, I will be the price. If that was 10-15 quid cheaper, I would be there a lot more often. And that, right. I mean, that's the same everywhere, right? We talked about it the last time. It's too much, and it's too much. There's enough going on with folk spending money and everything else. It's you can't afford that.
Yeah.